Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are around the world, around the country, around the state, around the city. Welcome to another episode of the Silk Stocking Sisters podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Theresa J, Canada, and we have a very special guest, because you know all my guests are special, today for this episode. And this is Mr. Ralph Kinnard Williams. Welcome,
Thank
Professor
you.
Williams.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Thank you. Listen, everybody, I happen to know this Mr. Professor Williams is not only my friend, colleague, professional colleague, but he's also my neighbor. Surprise, surprise, surprise. So we're going to start off with that. But basically, I've asked you to come on to talk about your life journey. And we talk about different issues in terms of education, desegregation, economics, sports, music. We talk about a lot of different things, and you have a lot to talk about that covers some of those topics. So let's start first with, where did you start your journey in terms of where you were in the country? What was the experience like? If you came in contact with different situations and people, can you explain a little bit about that?
I am from Richmond, Virginia. I was born there. The second child of Russell and Edith Williams, an older brother, two younger sisters. Born during the time of so-called separate but equal. And I grew up in the section of Richmond which was all Black. The only non-Black people I saw might have been owners of some of the businesses that we frequented. I went to public schools, started first grade. I don't think I had kindergarten.
Okay.
I remember going to first grade, and I don't remember very much before first grade, but first grade was really very important. I remember my first grade teacher, Miss Branch.
To this day.
That and
To this day.
and I remember a circle of friends from first grade who remained in the circle throughout public school education.
Wow.
I felt that we had everything, even though we lived in a Black community.
Right.
It was very comfortable, big houses, large yards. Everybody took care of each other.
Interesting. Interesting.
Parents knew your teachers. So yes, you had to be on your good behavior because everybody knew everybody in the town.
Yes.
It was a very small town. And I graduated from one of the still to this day, premier high schools.
And what's the name of that high school?
Maggie L. Walker High School.
Oh, yes. Well, can you just pause a second and tell the audience a little about who was Maggie Walker?
Yes. Maggie L. Walker was an African-American woman who started the first bank in the nation, Consolidated Bank. And the high school was named after her, and there's her home is now a museum in Richmond.
Okay.
Not too far from where the high school still exists. And most of my close friends graduated from the same high school. I'm the only one of my siblings who went to that high school.
Why is that?
Well, my older brother went to the other Black high school at that time.
Oh.
which was Armstrong High School.
Okay.
For a long time, it was the only one. Then Maggie Walker came along, and then by the time my younger sister, who was 6 years younger than I am,
Uh-huh.
was ready to go to high school, schools were integrated.
All right.
And so,
Okay.
then she, after having gone to an integrated junior high school, she went to John Marshall High School in Richmond. Oh, we had a Thomas Jefferson High School too.
Oh,
Yes.
I wonder why.
So both of my sisters went to John Marshall, and I have cousins who went to Thomas Jefferson High School.
Okay.
Yeah. And there's only one of my close friends that I grew up with who did not graduate with us. Actually, there are two that did not graduate with us because the parents of Isaiah Jackson took him out of the schools and sent him to private school in Putney, Vermont.
Why is that?
They wanted a better education for him.
Oh.
His father was one of the prominent doctors in town, and um, Isaiah and his younger brother both went to Putney High School in Vermont.
Okay.
And Isaiah recently died. He became a world famous conductor.
Okay. See,
Yeah.
that's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And the other friend who did not graduate with us, he transferred in his junior year from Maggie Walker to high school in St. Louis, and that was Arthur Ashe. And
Yes.
he transferred primarily so that he could play with the Buchholz brothers. They were all the same age, and they were being groomed to be tennis players, and they all went to UCLA after high school.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And
So did Arthur Ashe, everyone now knows that Arthur Ashe is your childhood friend. Did he attend UCLA as well?
oh, yes,
Oh,
yes.
okay.
Yeah.
So, okay, so this was all based upon the fact that he was preparing to be a tennis expert.
Oh, yeah, the projection was already there. But
Okay.
that has started in his junior high school years, because every summer he trained with a noted doctor in Virginia who ran a tennis camp. And this was a
Can you
black
provide
doctor.
the name of that particular person?
Yeah, Johnson, Dr. Johnson was his name.
Okay.
And yeah, he got a hold of Arthur and started grooming him for that. And then Arthur was winning the junior national competitions at that age. So, uh, but he did, stay in Richmond long enough to have been in high school band with me, and we both
Oh,
played the trumpet section, and we were always uh, challenging each other academically because we all wanted those best grades,
yes.
and we all played together. We all belonged to our various churches, which I must say was the center of organization for blacks during that time. Uh, there were many prominent black churches,
That's right.
and most of the ministers of those churches were also civic leaders, and were encouraging us to participate in the National Association of Colored People and so forth. And I did as a in the Junior National Association of Colored People. I went to conferences in Norfolk, Virginia, and everything, even before I finished high school.
Okay.
But
Was that an expectation from from growing up in that area? Was that a part of your expectation, being civically involved, engaged?
very much so. I think the school and the church did d- did a lot to kind of foster us being involved and participate.
Right.
My older brother, who's 6 years younger than I am, after he graduated from Armstrong, he went to Virginia Union University.
Okay, which was at HBCU. Let's make sure that
Yes,
people know that.
which was on the other side of the railroad track from my high school, Maggie L. So I was still very much aware of what he was doing while I was in high school and he was in college.
Okay.
In fact, I was over there on that campus doing a lot of stuff. Uh, but he participated in many of the demonstrations and was arrested and everything, as many of his peers were. As my parents,
Let's pause. 'Cause
yeah,
when people don't understand, we say the demonstrations of what? Now, not everybody's knowledgeable about what was taking place in the South and how that spread throughout the country. So tell us a little bit about, the protests and so forth for, explain to the audience what we meant about what type of protests were these?
um, the protests for equal opportunity and equal access. Uh,
Right.
my brother was arrested for uh, demonstrations at sit-down lunch counters at the department stores
Okay.
in Richmond, Virginia.
Okay.
Yeah. Uh, but
See, folks, this really happens. The real person telling you about his brother was involved in this. So many people think it's just some other people, but they're real people who actually participated and wanted to make a difference for themselves and their communities and in their families. So
and
yeah,
it wasn't always a safe environment. Our parents were really concerned that we might get hurt,
exactly.
and but there were organizations in Richmond that really, I would say, championed and took care of those who were participating. They were there to bail them out,
Good,
and and
good,
they were in the picket lines with them.
good.
Uh, somehow, I didn't get involved in all of that. My parents really were protecting me. They just wouldn't allow me to do that.
But some
Yeah,
of them are like that. That's true. That's true.
right.
So yours were one of
Yeah.
those parents.
And, I had plenty to do. I always had a job since I was 12 years old when I first started as a paper boy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then in
Industrious even at 12, right?
in high school, my brother and I um, worked in the supermarket. He worked in the meat department and I worked in the vegetable department. And we were the only two blacks working in that department, in that supermarket.
Interesting. Interesting.
So, so then, of course, we looked after each other. Uh, but the family that owned that church were also owned that supermarket. White family
Mhm.
were also very interested in helping blacks.
Interesting.
They owned a lot of properties in the neighborhood. They sold a lot of homes to blacks in the neighborhood.
So were they attacked by that? The fact that they were actually selling homes to black families?
Uh, a lot of people probably didn't know about it. They lived in the suburbs themselves. The white family, they built their ranch type homes in the suburbs and
Okay.
came into the inner city to run their supermarket. Very
Interesting.
very successful.
Very
Uh,
successful, yeah.
right, and they would buy up all of the properties and rent them out and sell them and uh,
Interesting. Okay.
yeah. So that's how I got through high school. And playing in the marching band in high school and playing at the football games on Friday nights. And
Okay.
uh, my high school teacher was one of my high school teachers was Nathaniel Lee. He was the choral director, and he was a graduate of Oberlin College Conservatory of Music.
Wow.
And I mean, he was one of the superstars in the city.
Okay. Okay.
And the librarian at our high school was also a graduate of Oberlin College. I mean, this was an all-black high school.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I want you to, that's why I wanted you to talk these stories because people just assume that this was not the case. Now, what I want to do now, we want to transition. Okay. You've finished high school and you just mentioned about the people who were involved with Oberlin. How did you make your transition from Richmond to college?
While I was in high school, um, one of my neighbors was Leon Thompson. Black conductor, uh, graduate of Eastman, doctorate.
From Rochester.
Yes,
But
New York, New
that's
York
my
Philharmonic.
college.
Yes, he became the educational director of the New York Philharmonic, and he conducted all over. He became the music director at the Abyssinian Baptist Church in Harlem. Uh, when he died, uh, his wife took over music director, and they were neighbors of mine
Really?
in
Okay. Well,
Richmond. Well, he was. He wasn't married to Jewel uh, at that time. Jewel Taylor was her name, and she became, Doctor Jewel Thompson. Her doctorate is also from Eastman.
I
Uh,
have to make sure I mention that when I have my reunion coming up.
all right. Uh, he was prominent in the news because he was doing so much, and one of my hometown buddies, William Terry, and I decided to go knock on his door one day and introduce ourselves. And he invited us in, and
See that
it,
those are the days when people were, you won't find that as often now
oh,
as you
you're
did.
look,
You won't find it at all now, really.
I took newspapers to everybody in the neighborhood.
So you knew,
I knew everybody,
right?
and we all knew each other. I
Right.
mean, uh, these were people who were in my neighborhood were either in education, or they were in medical fields, doctors,
Mhm.
or they worked in the post office.
Mhm.
Well, everybody had good paying jobs, and they had the lifestyles that reflected that.
Yes.
I mean, the lawns and everything were very well
Well,
manicured.
right,
Yes.
exactly.
So we introduced and Leon Thompson's father was the minister of one of the black churches in Richmond too.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
So he grilled us and everything, wanted to know what William and I wanted to do. William was a year younger than me, and then he said he had an idea. He said, "I'm going to take you over to Virginia State College and set you up with private teachers over there." I was a junior in high school. William was a sophomore. So he set William up with Undine Smith Moore, one of the prominent black female composers. And he set me up with Aldrich Atkins, a tenor voice teacher, uh, and a pianist, Altona Johns. And William and I drove over there every week and took private lessons. So I got 2 years of that. And they all thought that they were preparing us to come to Virginia State until one day I told my voice teacher, I said, I'm applying to Oberlin and I need to make a tape for that. He said, "Oh, well, we better get busy."
Wow. Okay.
And I applied to Oberlin, applied to Fisk, applied to Howard University. Those were my three schools.
Okay.
And I got accepted.
Rest is
Full,
history.
full tuition scholarship at Oberlin, um, and a job that assured that I had meals on campus, 3 meals a day.
Okay. Okay.
And so off I went.
Okay. So you hear, see, folks, it worked. Okay. So we have all this exposure, the connections, the talent to be able to make that transition. That says how significant it is to know your craft. You sing, you play the piano. You have this musical acumen that you've become now to be able to attend a premier school. So what happens at Oberlin and what happens after graduation?
Well, at Oberlin, I majored in voice performance and in music education, which at that time was one degree, but a double major.
Okay.
And it was a 5-year program.
Really? Okay.
And one reason I chose it was because I loved being in Oberlin so much. Yeah, I loved it so much that I didn't even go home for summers. I stayed in Oberlin
Really?
for this. I got jobs in Oberlin. They didn't have a full academic program during the summer, just some special conferences and everything. And I became a townie. I mean,
But-
it was a small town.
right, right.
Most of the professors lived in the town, and
Right, right.
one of my roommates freshman year was the son of one of the religion professors, and they invited me to live in their home during the summer.
So what was the transition in terms of the racial situation with the all Black community, professionals, so forth and so on, and then you go to a small town in the Midwest in Ohio. What was that like?
One thing that struck me was I heard many Black people in Oberlin, mostly from the one Black Baptist church in Oberlin that I attended during my freshman year. Uh, they often refer to the fact that my class had more Blacks in it than they could recall in previous times. So, yeah, there were
Mm.
a number of us in the college and in the conservatory
Okay,
uh,
okay,
that yeah, it felt like an integrated place.
okay.
I mean, Oberlin is the first college to admit people of color in 1833,
Uh,
and the first liberal arts college to admit women.
Interesting point. Thank you for sharing that history. We need to know that history. That's why I'm trying to do this. Make sure you know this history. I mean, it's renowned as a whole, but people that, thinking here in Ohio in the middle, why would they do that? Do you know the reasons, the rationales for them being able to be more receptive to Black students attending? You know the history about that?
Um, Three ministers founded the college,
Okay.
and they were looking for uh, an environment that they could create teaching uh, what they believed in for all people. And Oberlin is a very small town that's 35 miles southwest of Cleveland, and it was just very, very swampy and isolated. So they had an opportunity to build an institution that really catered to their model of learning and labor.
Exactly. Exactly. Good. Okay. Thanks for sharing that history. Appreciate it. Okay. So now you graduate from Oberlin because I don't want to keep you too long, but you graduate.
Well, before I graduated, it was understood that my junior year, where my class of music majors, there were 80 of us,
So much.
would be sent to Salzburg, Austria for the entire year.
Really? During
So
that era? Are you
it,
serious?
it was the junior year abroad study program.
Wow.
I mean, I knew that when I went into Oberlin
Okay.
because the college was experimenting with that, and my class was the fifth or the sixth class to go.
To participate.
Yeah, in that, and actually the last class to do that.
Oh, interesting.
Oberlin discontinued the program after that because they felt that not all the areas of study in Salzburg were equally excellent.
Oh,
You
okay.
know,
That-
they didn't have all the facilities that Oberlin had. I mean, Oberlin has a incredible organ department, right? They have so many organs for their students to practice on and everything. In Europe, the organists had to search for churches and they were far away and everything.
Okay.
It was a great program for voice majors, though,
Okay. Good.
because it forced us to learn the language. It
Good.
forced us to learn something about the culture. It introduced us to musical drama, performing opera in German.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay.
And we
So
traveled. We
that's good.
traveled to Italy. We spent our spring vacation in Italy, 2 weeks. our main professor was arrested, though, and we never saw him again because he was accused of being the ringleader of an espionage group to free South Tyrol from Italy.
Oh my goodness. Yes.
So, so,
Okay.
so we were on our own for the rest of that tour until we got back to Salzburg.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Oh,
Uh,
what experience. What experience. But that's really great. Okay. All
so
right.
yeah,
So,
went back and did student teaching at Oberlin,
okay.
um, graduated, and then started applying to graduate schools. And I got into Yale University School of Music
There
for
you
the
go.
master's degree.
Right. There you go. And it's still, yeah.
This was during the Vietnam era now.
Ouch.
And so my freshman year, I was drafted. And I went to the college chaplain to advise me. His name was William Sloan Coffin.
Oh, from where we
Yes.
know, from where we used to
Who
hang out.
became the minister of the Riverside Church.
Exactly. Exactly.
And so he advised me along with the selective service advisor from university. I was drafted my second year at Oberlin, but I kept getting the deferments.
Right.
I knew that as soon as I graduated, I was going to be drafted again. So when the United States Army Corps appeared on campus to do a concert, I was one of about a dozen people in the audience during this unpopular time for military.
Mm-hmm.
They were so good. I went up afterwards and said, do you have any openings? They asked me to audition right after their concert.
Right after the concert,
Right
literally.
after the concert, right in that same auditorium, I sang on stage.
Absolutely.
And
Fabulous.
2 weeks later, they sent me a letter and said, this is what you have to do. We want you to come and be a part of the United States Army Corps. So
I didn't know about all this. I'm so glad you came because I didn't know about all these little details.
well, one thing just sort of led to the other. Depending on what was going on, uh, the world state of affairs and
Yes.
everything,
Yes.
how best can you contribute and how best can you protect yourself?
Excellent.
You know,
Excellent. Excellent point. Excellent point. That's what I'm saying. That's what's so important. That's why I wanted to talk about this because your situation, everyone's situation is unique, but still there's like a common fold where, things happen and you have to persevere and you have to try things out here and expo. But you also, there's still that excellence that you continued throughout your childhood. to
I
your
think
adult-
one thing that helped me at Yale was the fact that so many of my Oberlin friends also went to Yale, but all over Yale University, medical school, law school, art school, we all knew each other.
Right.
And there were only a half a dozen blacks in the music school. I was the only one in my class,
Wow.
you know. But having that network of other Oberlin people, uh,
It really made a difference.
yeah, and also some Richmond people, like I don't know if you know Junius Williams, the lawyer
I know. Yes.
from Newark. Yeah, he's a contemporary of mine from Richmond. He went to Armstrong, though, high school. He
Oh,
didn't
he went to Oxford.
but he was at Yale Law while I was at Yale Music School.
Okay. See, this is why I need to. People don't know that we exist in all these places and spaces,
But,
right?
how do you support each other?
That's it.
You
That's
know,
the key.
uh,
That's the key.
the fact
That's the
that
key.
you're very much on your own, but there was always somebody nearby that.
Could connect with. Thank
Exactly.
you for thank you for making that point. I think that's so significant now more so than ever. But that's what you went through. Okay. So I'm not gonna keep you too much longer, but I wanted you to talk about, you know, the path to teaching at a college level. Was that something that you planned?
No, I hadn't planned on it at all. Um, the Army Corps took me to the Washington, D.C. area, because they're based in Arlington, Virginia.
Okay.
And so that led me to my first teaching job at the Sidwell Friends School in Washington, D.C.
Let me put a little tidbit, folks. You know, that's the school where the Obama daughters attended. Just throw it out. They're not the only ones, but that's the school.
The Nixon daughter too.
Yes, yes, that's right, Trisha.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's right. That's
yeah,
right.
and Chelsea Clinton.
Right, the
Right.
president. Yeah. Gosh,
Yeah.
President
Yeah.
Clinton's daughter. Right. She also
What first job is a Quaker school. I didn't know very much about Quakers. What a community-oriented situation. And it was very obvious that they wanted to have some blacks on the faculty. That's
excellent.
one of the reasons they hired me. Uh, and many of my students from those days, that was in the early 70s. I'm still in touch with them today.
To this day. But that's the kind of community connectedness. What
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
been so great to follow their careers and, see where they've gone, what you know, one of them just graduated from a full professorship in the business school at Columbia University. I mean, that's how long it's been.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, see, I know that because I know when we have our conversations, you talk about some of the people students who were there, and you share sometimes with the
Run into them walking up and down the street here in the neighborhood.
right.
You
That
know?
would see.
Right.
Okay.
So, but I only stayed in that job for 4 years because I was still very much interested in performing. And I quit the job and I moved back to Austria. So this was 10 years after my junior year there.
Okay.
And so I enrolled at the university there, the Mozarteum, uh, because, in order to live there, you had to have student visa or something.
That's right.
Uh,
That's right.
and but I finished their diploma in art song and studied conducting and opera, 3 years. And I worked part-time as a singer, uh,
'Cause you can sing.
mostly in Austria, some in Germany, and I traveled a lot,
Good.
all the way up to Scotland
Good.
and back to Italy, France, uh, all over the place. And after 3 years of doing that, one of my hometown friends, who was also a singer, Pamela Wood, she was on the faculty of MIT. Uh,
Okay.
she encouraged me to move to Boston, Cambridge,
Hmm.
so that we could do some things musically together.
Okay.
She was
Good.
very active,
Good.
and I needed a job. And I went over to Harvard University and interviewed with the chairman of the Afro-American Studies Department. That's what they called it at that
At
time.
that time, yeah.
Yeah. And that was Eileen Southern, one of the foremost uh, music historians uh, from Cambria Heights, Queens.
Mhm.
Yeah. And after 45 minutes,
So let me
she
pause.
offered.
Quick, folks, the Columbia Heights is a section of Queens, which is part of New York City. Queens is one of the boroughs in New York City. For those of you who don't know, that's what we're talking about. Okay, go ahead.
So she offered me a job uh, as administrative assistant in the Afro-American Studies Department. Uh, she, of course, was a music historian. There was one other music historian on the faculty. She had joint appointment in that department and in the music department at Harvard. But all the other professors were in various fields like sociology and English. Arnold Rampersad was one of them. Um, and so I had to interact with all these people in these different fields. And I had a secretary under me, and I had a receptionist under me, and I was her leg person all over the campus,
Excellent. Excellent.
which was a really good part-time job. It allowed me,
Absolutely. Are you kidding me? Yes, of course it was.
with benefits, you know.
Hard time with benefits? That's
Yeah.
rare.
I had to
That's
work at least 25 hours a
a
week.
week to be eligible. Okay.
Right.
Okay. Okay.
But it allowed me to perform, and to
To
do
do
a
your
lot of that.
build your craft. That's right. Still have your craft. Well,
And
okay. So
Then I moved to New York in 1980.
okay, so that's when you came to the city.
Yeah.
All right. And that led you to working
Had no idea what I was going to do in New York. I just wanted to be closer to
to the opera. Right,
auditioning,
right. Yeah.
and
Yep.
so for the first 7 years, I worked as a freelance singer, uh, sang all over the United States, sang in the Far East, 7-week tour in
Well,
the Far
that's
East.
what you do, though. That's what you do.
You
That's what
know,
people do.
and after 7 years of that, I decided that, okay, I want to have a regular check coming in all the time. And I went back to teaching. I taught in public schools for 4 years, uh, and applied for a job in the CUNY system, uh, the SUNY system, not the CUNY, the State University of New
State
York.
University of New York.
Yeah, and got that job, and worked as a full-time music professor for 28 years.
Mhm. See,
Uh,
folks, it happens.
Continued to do some singing.
Yeah, I know that 'cause I remember.
Continued to do recitals mostly.
Mhm.
And yeah, it's been a great ride.
Thank you so much for sharing your life story. See, this is why I want people to hear about this. People think, "Oh, this is not. This is I don't have anything to say." Listen to what you look, and you're here to talk about it. That's the other thing. People need to know that people like you exist and experience exposure. Because if not, people think, "Oh, we just woke up yesterday and this is what happened." Or nobody ever had that exposure, or nobody ever had that position, or no one ever had been able to experience or connect with other people, and the connection within the Black communities that existed that allowed people to have some opportunities that may not have been opportunities in other situations. So you have now just explained and described your life in a sense that it does say that's possible, and it does says how it helped it step by step by step for you educationally in terms of the exposure, the people you came in contact with. So what would you say to anyone today who started off? What would you say to them in terms of should they just give up? Should it just what is something that you could suggest that a person do at this day and age to maybe pursue like you were end up pursuing the things you did in your career? What would you say to them?
You have to dream,
Excellent.
and then you have to find a place where you want to be and make it work.
Excellent. Excellent last words. Well, Professor Williams, I'm always going to call you Professor Williams. Thank you so much for allowing me to have you on the podcast to talk about your life stories because we're buddies. But I'm just saying, people think that buddies don't know anything, don't talk about anything. But when I asked you, I said, "Can you?" Oh well, but listen to all the wealth of knowledge, experience, and so forth. I'm just so honored to be your friend. And again, thank you so much for being a guest to share your life stories. And I know that we have more than I have to bring you on again because there's going to be some of the stuff you're going to be doing since you've no longer, because you're doing other things now that we have to talk. Part two of this episode will come up in a couple of months. But I want to just thank you again for being on the show.
It was my pleasure.
Okay. So, folks, that's the end of another episode of the Silk Stocking Sisters podcast. We'll see you again next time. Have a great day. Bye now.